Let me say this before I go into his intro. I really admire this guy because I can't say it all in an intro, but I've known Kevin since 1997 when he was a dead broke carpet cleaner, just like me, and he ended up buying my stuff. And he was an Alaska fisherman that had craziest story in the world, was totally broke, and talk about a rags to riches story, and just all along the way, one of the most genuine people that you would ever know. He's been a client and a friend for many, many years, and I'm just so super happy to have that relationship in my life with Kevin because he's just an amazing guy, and I love you. So that's the setup for the bio, or the intro. Have you ever heard the expression, "It is better to give than to receive"? The quote comes from the Bible, Acts 20, verse 35. It has been used for over 2,000 years to help people be even more generous in giving to others. Yet there's another expression that says there are two sides to every coin. In this case, your speaker, Kevin Thompson, has a different approach about giving and receiving. It's the other side of the coin. His premise is, it's not better to give than to receive. When I first heard his premise, it shocked me since I've known Kevin for over 19 years and consider him to be one of the most giving people I've ever known. Hey, he's given me 9 $25,000 checks for Genius Network over the past 9 years, and 10 years before that in the carpet cleaning business. Kevin's business is built on the 3 C's: connection, communication, collaboration. What Kevin does is put people together and then gets them to share in the rewards of those connections. As an example, when John Carter, a member of Genius Network and now of Genius X, our 100K group, needed help in solving a business problem, he reached out to Kevin, who knew the exact guy to solve it, Travis. Kevin hooked Travis and John together, and great things happened. Travis then paid Kevin 10% of what John paid him, a triple win. Kevin's title is Why It's Not Better to Give Than to Receive. Please help me welcome my friend, Kevin Thompson.
All right, I'm going to start by just asking you guys a question. I want to see by show of hands, how many of you agree that you are a very giving and generous person? Let me see by show of hands that that's just who you are. Yeah, and that's no surprise, especially in this room. I'm going to ask you another question. You don't have to answer. I just want you to think about this as we move forward here. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you feel that you are just as good at receiving and even proactively asking others for help as you are at giving? And I'll let you know, I wanted to do my research, so I did a little survey last week of a bunch of 25K members. Thank to every one of you who responded to that, because only 9% of us in this room feel that we're just as good at receiving as we are at giving. The rest of us feel we're not even close, not even close. And I too have been this giving and generous guy my whole life, but for most of my life I pretty much sucked on the receiving side of things. When people would ask me, Kev, what can I do to help you? I'd be like, oh no, I'm good, you don't need to do anything for me, and God forbid if I would ever ask anybody else for help, because I didn't want to bother people. I didn't want to inconvenience them. I didn't want to be perceived as a taker, because that's not who I am, and that's not who any of you are either. We're givers, and we don't want to be that way. But the challenge with this is that by being this way, we are shutting down and blocking this natural flow of abundance and all these incredible things that could and should be going on in our lives and in our businesses. And I didn't realize the depth of the impact that this would have on my life and on my business until I had a few experiences that just opened me wide up to being open to receiving and letting that be a part of my life. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share 3 specific experiences with the goal of moving you a whole lot closer to the 10 on the receiving side. And then when I'm done, I'm going to ask you a very simple question, and that question is, what can I do for you? How can I help you? So the first experience comes courtesy of Joe. And this happened back in 2009. It was a couple days before one of these meetings. The group was way smaller back then. I called him on his cell phone, and I got his voicemail, and I did not leave him a message because I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to inconvenience him. And 5 minutes later, he calls me back, and he's like, Kev, what'd you want? Oh, Joe, it ain't no big deal. 25K, Jesus and I was in a couple days. I'm coming down there. We can just talk then. And he's like, no. He's like, it's important enough that you called. Let's just talk now. And I don't remember what it was that we were talking about. What I do remember, though, is a couple days later at the meeting, he starts sharing this experience with all of you. And he tells everybody how I called him, and I didn't leave a message because I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to inconvenience him. And he's like, kind of like what he just did up here, which, man, that was good. He's like, Kevin, he's like, you and I, man, we go back a long ways. I've known you for years. He's like, you're one of my best clients. He's like, I love you. And he's like, he's like, you are one of the most giving, generous guys I know, but man, you got work to do on the receiving side. And he's like, I want to see by show of hands in this room, if Kevin were to pick up the phone and call any one of you, and assuming it was reasonable, if he asked you for a favor, would you turn him down? And everybody in the room was like, no, man, Kev, we really like you. We really appreciate you. And like, if there were anything we could do to help you, then yeah, we'd want you to let us know. And I'm going to tell you what, that was an epiphany for me, because at that time of my life, I would come into this room with you guys and I'd hear your stories and I hear all these incredible things that you're doing in your business. And maybe some of you guys can relate to this. And I would put you guys all on this pedestal up here, like, man, they're doing such incredible things. And me, I'm like down here somewhere. And I'd be like, can I ever offer value to that? I mean, shit, I told Joe before I ever joined this group when he said I should be here, I got nothing to offer a group like that. And Joe's like, yeah, you do. And now, that day, we moved a whole lot closer to a 10. Second experience happened in 2011 with Sean Stevenson. I had just got through hosting a 2-day training at my home up in Washington State, and 19 people had flown in for this 2 days. Joe was there, Sean Stevenson, Gary Gunson, 19 people were there for it. And at the end of this 2 days, a few of us had went out to dinner, and Sean Stevenson and his dad are sitting across the table from me. And Sean starts telling me how, Kevin, we came up here a couple days ago, and he lived in Chicago at the time. When we flew into Seattle, you told us you lived like an hour away from the airport, and we get here and it's pouring down rain. Imagine that. Traffic is horrendous. It takes us almost 3 hours to get up to your place. And on the way up, I'm asking Dad, who the hell is this Kevin Thompson guy, and why are we going to all this trouble to get to his damn house? But now, Kevin, after spending 2 days with you, and having you share what you did, and it was so incredible, and it is going to have such an impact on my life and my business, and I'm so appreciative, and I just want to know, what can I do for you? To which I just said, Sean, I'm good, man. You don't need to do anything for me. That was my pleasure. And he's like, wrong frickin' answer, Kev. If you don't got an answer, that's totally cool, but you just let me know that, and let me know you can get back to me when you do have a good answer, but don't shut me down on this. Don't shut me down. I just want to help you. And I'm just like, holy shit. He's that adamant. This guy just wants to help me. And we moved way closer to a 10 that day. Third experience happened in 2012. This is my friend Jesse Elder. I was down visiting him in Texas. And we spent a couple of days together. And this one day, we really dug into this subject. We dug in hard. And he starts asking me, he's like, Kevin, when you give to somebody who just truly appreciates it, how does that make you feel? And I'm like, I was like, Jesse, I was like, that is incredible. I was like, I love that feeling. There's not a better feeling in the world than that. I love that. And he's like, yeah, right. I mean, there is nothing better. And he's like, do you realize that by being the way you are and not receiving from others, you are actually taking from them? And I'm like, what in the heck are you talking about? And he's like, Kevin, you are depriving others from having that same experience that you just told me was the best feeling in the whole world. He's like, who are you to deprive them from that? And I'm just like, I never thought about it that way. And he's like, Kevin, giving and receiving, they're just different sides of the same coin. It's kind of like breathing. If I were to ask you, what do you prefer better, breathing in or breathing out? And you actually gave me an answer, I'd tell you, great. Try doing only that for a while and see how far it's going to get you. You got to do both. And you got to do both in equal amounts. And so we moved a hell of a lot closer to a 10 that day. And because you two, pretty much every one of you in here agreed that you are, just at the core of who you are, this incredibly generous and giving person. You have already, for all your life, been building up relationship capital with people and you don't even realize it. You're completely oblivious to it, just like I was. Because people already know you. They already know who you are. You are surrounded by people who would gladly help you if they just knew how. But you ain't been telling them because you don't want to bother them. You don't want to inconvenience them. You don't want to be perceived as a taker because that ain't who you are. That ain't who none of us are. We're givers, man. We love giving. But the thing is when you open yourself up, and see, I never realized what a game changer it would be when I just opened myself up and just took in the possibility of becoming as good at receiving as I was at giving, and really focused on that. And it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. It's been a work in progress, and it's a continual work in progress, and it'll never end. But when you consider the impact, the depth of impact that this will have on your life and on your business, when you become a 10 and become as good at receiving as you are at giving, because now you open up this natural flow of abundance, of incredible things, of being able to get your message out there in a much bigger way, being able to make a much bigger impact, being able to collaborate with people and do things far bigger together than you could ever do on your own. And I've been doing this, once I got this, man, I've been doing this. I mean, just with people in this group alone, Joe had me tally it up, over $1.1 million in revenue has been created only in this group. Not counting all the stuff I do like outside of the group. Well, it's only with people in the group. And this is powerful stuff. And plus, not beyond the revenue, I mean, yeah, sure, the revenue is really great, but the relationships that I've got in my life, that I mean, like guys like Joe, who I've got so much respect for that guy. I mean, I'm just surrounded by incredible people. And I want the same for you. So I'm going to finish like I said I would by asking a simple question is, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And I want to challenge each one of you to, before we leave here this week, let me know.